Oh yeah, Louis Vuitton. So you want to go backpacking across country or to another country altogether. You want to fly. Getting all your backpacking gear across country is something that you definitely have to do your research for. It's something that I get asked all the time. I actually just got this comment a few days ago and I told the dude, like, dude, it's this week's video. Just give me a week. But this is pretty much by request. I get asked all the time, how do you fly across country with all your backpacking gear? So that's what this video is all about. So I'm going to go through the progression here of how I've transported my gear across country. Number one, I went to Colorado. Now this is the trickiest one because we weren't staying in a hotel, we weren't renting a car or anywhere that I could put gear. The idea was we were getting off the airport, we were taking a train into Denver, we were resupplying, picking up some things, or supplying, not resupplying. We were taking an Uber to the trailhead. So basically, there was nowhere to store gear for this trip. So everything that I took with me on the plane, I was then gonna have to carry 100 miles on the Colorado Trail and then take home with me. So there was nowhere to store anything. And literally, I wore my hiking clothes to the airport, and those are the only clothes I brought with me. Luckily, the guys I was with, they had their wives come out with extra clothes and stuff when we were done, so I had extra clean clothes for the flight back. But it made for a difficult challenge of getting my backpacking gear onto the plane. Most people's packs completely decked out with all their backpacking and hiking gear, too big to classify as a carry-on. So that means you have to check that bag. Tough thing about our situation, we weren't renting a car, so we had nowhere to put a suitcase or any type of bag that we were going to put our backpacking stuff in. Now, our backpacking packs can be a little bit delicate sometimes, and we've all seen how baggage handlers just chuck that in the plane. We just put our backpacks in black garbage bags, and when we sealed up the top, tied the top, we made sure like the handle was sticking out so you have somewhere to put your luggage tag on. So we checked our backpacks as these big trash bags.
Wait, oh, here they come. Wait, are they all in a row? Hi, Bryce. Pull them off. Get them. I like how they kept them together. Look how much smaller Bryce is there.
Whenever we got to Denver, our trash bags were about the last bags off of the plane. So I feel like they kind of took extra special care, which, I don't know, maybe that's just wishful thinking because I've seen how they chuck these things on planes. I mean, look at the battle scars. This thing, I flew with this once. This thing was fine, and it is tore up. And don't be jealous of my Louis Vuitton suitcase. No, it's cheap. God, this is the ugliest suitcase in the world. I hate this thing, but it's what I got. I got it for free. But anyway, our trash bags came off the plane last, unscathed. Everything was perfect. Like, it worked totally fine. So if you have to do the trash bag route, I can't recommend it, but it worked for us. So when we were done in Colorado, we packaged them back up in garbage bags and checked them again, except I actually was able to compress my bag down small enough and take it on as a carry-on. I actually put my trekking poles on Andy's backpack, Show Brothers Outdoors. They were out there with me, and he checked his bag with trash bag method again with my trekking poles in there because I wasn't sure if you could bring a trekking pole on an airplane. That just seemed a little too weapon-like, so I didn't even want to chance it. Checking my backpacking gear as a carry-on worked pretty good, with the exception of them kind of tearing it apart and looking at it because my Helinox Chair Zero looked a little suspicious to them. They were very concerned of what that was, and they're searching inside the pack, and I had it on the exterior pocket, and they couldn't find it, and they were really wondering what that was, and I kind of peeked my head around and looked at the screen. And I told them, oh, that's just my chair. Well, they didn't question me at all. They're just like, oh, all right, you're good to go. But I guess if you have a bunch of pipes lined up in a cylindrical shape, it looks a little suspicious for a carry-on. So just be aware they might check your backpacking chair if you're going to bring one of those on the airplane with you. So the second time I flew, I went out to Oregon. And this one I did a little bit differently because I was actually renting a car out there. So I had a base camp, so to speak. When I got everything off the plane, I could keep everything in the car. I didn't have to hike with everything that I flew across country with. So this just opened up the world of possibilities. So what I did on this trip was I packed my backpack just like I would if I was going to go hiking, basically, maybe with the exception of a few things. And I put that backpack inside a suitcase. It's actually the bigger brother to this one. This is like the middle size of a 3-piece set. So I took the big one, like the huge one, fit that backpack inside of it because I had to use the big one because the full pack bag would not fit in the suitcase. So I took this big suitcase and I filled it up with all the clothes I need for in the middle of the trails because I was doing 2, and just all kinds of stuff. I had a laptop in there. That worked out really well. I'm not going to do this method again, and that's solely because that suitcase is gigantic. Everybody I saw walking around the airport had little tiny suitcases or medium-sized one. I think I was the only dude in there, like, pulling around this suitcase that you could literally fit a body in. So along with the big suitcase, I had just like a little drawstring backpack with all of my electronics and stuff in it. I actually just looked up what not to carry on a plane. So the third time, flew out to Utah, did something a little bit different. I hated carrying around the huge suitcase. I hated that. And I was jealous of everybody wheeling around those little suitcases in the airport. So the third time, and this is the time when I think I got it right, and this is the method I will probably do next month when I go back out to Colorado, take a smaller suitcase. And what I did is I pretty much used my backpack, my white LiteAF, as a carry-on. Had it pretty much empty except for like the electronics, my camera, headlamp that had the batteries in it, like everything that I didn't want or you're not allowed to keep in checked luggage in my carry-on bag. Basically, I just packed when I got there. I'm really quick and efficient with packing my backpack. I pack it pretty much the same every time. And when I got there, I had this tiny little suitcase, like not bad at all. And with all my gear, just packed it up in the hotel room and it was good to go. So what I basically did is I had another like drawstring, like little tiny backpack in my LiteAF backpacking bag. And that was my actual carry-on. So I'm walking around the airport with my LiteAF pack on. So whenever I get in the plane, I'd pull my little drawstring bag out that had, you know, my phone, charge cables, all the stuff, like camera, all the stuff I wanted to access while on the plane. And then my LiteAF pack just right above the seat. So that method worked great for me. Something I'm curious about is trekking poles. I did not bring a trekking pole on the plane with me. I want to say I think I saw somebody on there with a backpack that had trekking poles. So if you know the answer to that, if you're allowed bringing trekking poles onto the plane with you as a carry-on, put it down in the comments below, as well as other tips for flying with backpacking gear. I would really like to hear your opinions, what you've done, what doesn't work. I will say one thing from experience. Make sure everything that has batteries is in your carry-on. So the first time I went to Colorado, I forgot about my headlamp, and it went in the non-pressurized section underneath the plane with my checked bag. I don't know what it was, but my headlamp didn't work when I got there. I put fresh batteries in and it still didn't work. It literally killed my headlamp, putting it in my checked bag. So I didn't have a headlamp that entire 100 miles of the Colorado Trail. But I've since learned my lesson. Just make sure you don't try to carry any fuel. Fuel will have to be bought when you arrive. Alcohol is kind of my go-to, which is nice because you can get it at like Walmart. You can get it at any auto parts store. If you're into canister stoves, you're going to have to find like an REI or maybe like a Walmart or a Field and Stream store, something like that might have those. But those are just my experiences with flying across country with all my gear. Like I said, any tips, any experience with this, put them down below. I encourage you all to read the comments, learn a little bit about what you can and can't do. Like I said, I get asked this question all the time. I've really been putting off making this video until today. So this is for you guys. By request. That's it for the video, guys. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching these. Hit that subscribe button down below. More stuff like this in the future. Make sure you hit that notification bell too. Heading out to Colorado next month. It's gonna be an awesome video series. I can already tell. I'm so excited to get back out in the frickin' Rocky Mountains and do some filming out there. It's It's gonna be a lot of fun going with a really, really good group of people. But yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say. So thank you, subscribe, see you in the next one.
All right, starting off on day number 6.